Ready in 3.
Good evening, everyone. For those who are listening online, this is High Point Mayor Jay Wagner calling to order our regular meeting for March 21st, 2022. I want to thank everybody who's come out tonight. We had a pretty long closed session before this meeting. It began at 3:30 and we're actually not finished. So after this meeting is over, we're going to continue that closed session. So I wanted to make that announcement for anybody who might be listening online or whoever. Y'all will be gone by then, so it won't matter, y'all. But for those who are listening online, we are going to continue our closed session, and there is a possibility that we could take action on several items following that closed session. So if you're dedicated and listen, you'll get to hear us do that. Before we begin the meeting tonight, I would like to ask everyone please to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We have some recognitions and presentations that we're going to handle before we get into the meat of our agenda tonight. The first one is regarding the Greater High Point Food Alliance Awards. Carl Veerling will be coming forward, no longer in a cast.
Mayor, there's nobody more thankful that I'm mobile than my wife, let me tell you.
We know.
Yeah. So, Mayor and City Council, I'm Carl Veerling, Executive Director of the Greater High Point Food Alliance. And every year we present what we call the Food Security Advocate of the Year Award. And this past year, back in January, we had a virtual food summit, so we couldn't do this in person. So we really appreciate you allowing us to do it this evening. So the very first award recipient is Sherman Marshall. Sherman's not a household name, yet this 80-year-old resident of Burns Hill community has impacted us in the community by his continuous service to our food pantry and garden. Without Sherman, our food pantry and garden would not be at the high standards that we try to maintain. At our food pantry, he unloads the trucks, stocks the produce, picks orders, makes boxes, cleans the pantry, or whatever tasks need to be done. At the garden, Sherman has taken on the responsibility to nourish and cultivate it. He builds beds, plants crops, spreads dirt, and again, whatever task is assigned. Sherman seeks no recognition for his efforts. He has quietly labored out of public eye to bring about something special to our community. And that was what was sent to us as the nomination. On a very personal note, one of the greatest things about doing the work that we get to do is that we get to meet people like Sherman, who are just quiet heroes going about every day to make this a better community. And it's been an honor and a pleasure to get to know Sherman over these last several years. So, Mr. Marshall, if you will come up, please. And this is Emily McCollum, our board chair, and she's actually going to present the award. If you guys go towards the center, please. Follow hers.
Thank you so much for your service to the Burns Hill community, for all of the folks who are seeking to be here. Thank you.
I thank you for this one. I thank every member for nominating. I thank the people who voted for me. I'm going to love friends. I've been called. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall.
The second recipient is the Community and Neighborhood Development Division of the City of High Point. It's always seeking ways to inform the neighborhoods and important issues that affect them. Food insecurity is one of the top of the list. They distribute resource guides from the Food Alliance to neighborhoods, hold neighborhood meetings where information is shared about food insecurity, provide empty lots which the city owns to put community gardens on, and supply dirt and mulch. They provide an office spot for the North Carolina Extension agent so she can work closely with the school and neighborhood gardens in the area. The division also provides a free tax preparation site, VITA, for a low-income population so they can use the money saved by not having to pay a preparer to buy extra food. This is just a few of the ways that the Community and Neighborhood Development Department in helping address food insecurity in our community. Just so this group will know, I'm often asked, how come we have accomplished so much in the city of High Point? And the answer is we have a great working relationship with the city. And Michelle McNair and her team have been phenomenal. We are doing programs in High Point that are not being done anywhere else in the state of North Carolina. It is innovative, it's creative, but most of all, it's meeting what the motto is right behind you, creating a single, most livable, safe, and prosperous community in America. We couldn't do this work without the city of High Point, and we appreciate it. So, Emily and Michelle.
Michelle, thank you so much to you and your team for all that you do. You all are lucky to have her on your staff, and thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I have several proclamations to read. This first one is regarding Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. So I'll begin. Whereas people with a developmental disability are of all economic, social, educational, racial, and ethnic backgrounds, and all are valued members of society who find fulfillment living everyday lives. And whereas approximately 7,500 residents of High Point have intellectual or other developmental disabilities, and the most effective way to change attitudes and beliefs about the abilities of individuals with developmental disabilities is through everyone's work and active participation in community activities and the openness to learn and acknowledge each individual's contribution. And whereas all residents should promote both the expectations and opportunities for individuals with developmental disabilities to participate fully in our community, including access to integrated employment, education, housing, and civic engagement. And whereas the City of High Point recognizes and commemorates the 35th anniversary of Public Law 99-483, being enacted by Congress in 1987, which designated the month of March as National Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month. And whereas the High Point community strives for equal opportunity, economic self-sufficiency, and independent living for all of its citizens, now therefore I, J.W. Wagner, Mayor of High Point, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Developmental Disabilities Awareness Month in the City of High Point and commend its observance to all residents. Is there someone coming forward?
One is the that's the one that I knew one the funny kid.
next proclamation is proclamation regarding Hank Wall. And how many in the group, in the audience here, ever met Hank Wall? Well, those of you who didn't meet Hank Wall, you're about to learn something about him. And he's a person who we should all try to be more like Hank Wall. Whereas Henry Adam Hank Wall was born in High Point, North Carolina on April 11, 1950. He was raised by his aunt and uncle, Jacob and Odessa Wall. And whereas Hank graduated from William Penn High School in 1968, he attended Fayetteville State University, Croft Business College, and Guilford College. Hank served in the Armed Forces and the Army. And after 30 years of service, Hank retired from the Postal Service. And whereas in 1993, Hank co-founded BOTSO, Brothers Organized to Save Others, a mentoring organization supporting young men in the High Point community. And whereas Hank served as a church deacon, Carl Chavis YMCA Board of Directors, High Point Human Relations Commission, and received numerous awards throughout his life, he was continuously in service to others. Whereas his dedication to family, church, and the young men he mentored are all testaments to his love for his community. Therefore, be it resolved that I, J.W. Wagner, Mayor of High Point, North Carolina, do hereby recognize Mr. Henry Hank Wall and his commitment to the families of North Carolina and High Point. Is there someone to receive this? Are we going to give this to his family?
Yeah.
Oh, here, I'll take
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Come forward. Come on, Ben. How are you? Good to see you, sir. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Would
Glad.
you like a picture?
All right. Everybody should be more like Julie's Clark, too. Okay. Monica, you sure you don't want to read this next one?
No, I think you should read it. You're the mayor.
All right, okay, all right.
But then maybe Tasha and I could get in a picture with you.
Okay, last one is this is a proclamation regarding Women's History Month. Whereas the 2022 National Women's History theme is Women Providing Healing, Promoting Hope. And whereas every year since 1987, the United States has formally recognized March as National Women's History Month. And whereas every March, Women's History provides an opportunity to honor the generations of trailblazing women who have built our city, county, state, and nation, shaped our progress, and strengthened our character as people. And whereas American women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of our city, county, state, and nation in countless ways. And whereas American women have played and continue to play critical economic, cultural, and social roles in every sphere of life by constituting a significant portion of the labor force working inside and outside of the home. And whereas the City of High Point honors our local women who bring and have historically brought those priceless gifts to their families, workplaces, and neighborhoods, oftentimes at great sacrifice. Now, therefore, I, J.W. Wagner, Mayor of the City of High Point, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2022 as Women's History Month in High Point, and encourage our citizens to recognize, honor, and salute all the countless contributions of all of our women who have paved the way and made a difference.
Well, everybody's got to stand up for Women's History Month.
You know how we're gonna all get behind y'all on that. Yeah. want to leave that one at your chair? Okay. Now that I have my 2,000 steps in. All right. First agenda items are the Finance Committee items. And for that portion of the meeting, I will turn the meeting over to Councilman Britt Moore, who's the chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Wagner. We met at our allotted time on Thursday, heard the request and financial needs and contracts that were presented. The Finance Committee has a consent agenda part and then another part tonight, but starting with item 2022-119 and running consecutively through 2022-129 are our consent agenda items, and I put those forth to council with a favorable recommendation for approval.
Second. Okay, there's a motion for approval of the consent agenda items, which has been seconded. I didn't hear who seconded. Councilman Hudson with the second on that. Is there any discussion on any of these items from finance? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of approval of these items, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Under our regular agenda items tonight, item 2022-130 and 131 are about issuance of some GEO bonds and some revenue bonds, and Bobby Fitzjohn is going to be presenting these items.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mayor, and members of the City Council. The first item tonight is a bond order authorizing the issuance of up to $40 million of CES water sewer revenue bonds. The projects have already been approved by council and are underway. They include Richland Creek Sewer Outfall Replacement, Registers Creek Lift Station Expansion, Riverdale Sewer Lift Station West Force Main, and replacing the East Side Wastewater Treatment Plant's UV disinfection system. This is the last stage before we actually issue the bonds. They are scheduled to go to market in April. However, we were presented with another opportunity for a private placement today, which we're still analyzing. So there may be, you may see me come back in April with another updated bond order. But this tonight will allow us to go to market in April if that is determined to be that best action.
Any comments or questions for Bobby on these items? Familiar with? We vote on these and then I read this in, or is this just as simple as a read?
Yeah, you would just read it, the resolution aloud, and then take a vote on it.
All right. The first item to be read into the record is item 2022-130, and it's to introduce and adopt a bond order authorizing the sale and issuance by the City of High Point, North Carolina of not to exceed $40 million combined enterprise system revenue bonds, Series 2022, and authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents in connection therewith. And I move for approval.
Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of item 2022-130. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
The next item is 2022-131, and it's to introduce and adopt resolution of the City Council of the City of High Point, North Carolina, providing for the issuance of not to exceed $5,300,000 in general obligation Parks and Recreation bonds, Series 2022A, not to exceed $26 million general obligation public improvement bonds, Series 2022B, and not to exceed $20 million general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2022C of the City of High Point, North Carolina. And I move to approve.
Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve item 2022-131. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
That's
Thank
all
you.
for finance, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I've been asked by staff that we suspend the rules to add 2 agenda items. So I'll make a motion to suspend the rules to add requests for special events funding and also approval of the catalyst of the social district.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to suspend the rules to add a couple of items related to the P&L committee. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor of suspending the rules to add these 2 items, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first item that you all have, are you going to take it, Britt?
No, you've got it.
Am I going to take it?
Yeah, take it.
Right.
You take it. It's under your,
First item that
it's
you
under
all
your
have.
group. Yeah.
First item you have up is the creation of the social district of the catalyst that we've discussed, and I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
Do you want him to actually read this? Okay.
You want me to read it as a
I
motion?
want you to read that.
I will read it.
Yeah.
Give us the ordinance, okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance designated social districts in accordance with NCGS 160A-205.4 and NCGS 18B-904.4 with the boundaries for the Catalyst Social District as amended and shown on the map attached thereto, an effective date of April 21st, 2022. Do you need me to read that again? It's
21st.
First.
21st.
it says, yes.
21st.
Is that good? And with that, I make the motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of that item. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passed.
The second item is a request for our city-sponsored special events. Visit High Point, and you have the 5 dates and the 5 events that Visit High Point would like us to approve. The funding, there's no change in funding. This money is already in the budget. And if there's no questions about that, I will make a motion to approve.
Second. There's a motion and a second to approve this item, which is item 2022-145. Is there any discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passed.
That's all, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We have several items on, for public hearings under Planning and Development. The first one is item 2022-133, which is zoning map amendment 21-37. Mr. Shannon, good to see you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you. Our first item, zoning map amendment case 21-37. This is a request to rezone a 35.7 acre parcel from its current conditional use general business district to an employment center or EC district. The site's located along the north side of Model Farm Road, approximately 625 feet east of South Main Street. The current conditional use GB zoning on the site was established in 1990, and the site's developed with a 4,000 square foot structure. The applicant's requesting rezoning so as to convert this structure to a warehouse and distribution facility. This is a pretty large site, and only the western portion of the site is developed. No immediate plans are proposed at this time for the eastern portion of the site, but it'll be some form of warehousing or limited intensity industrial use. That's a blow-up, excuse me, of the site. And this is our land use plan policy document for this area. That area that's highlighted in that pinkish color is designated as restricted industrial. That district, the proposed EC district, was specifically designed for lands that are designated as for restricted industrial. The EC district also includes standards to ensure compatibility with any adjacent residential land areas. Under the proposed EC district, there will be a higher landscaping requirements along the perimeter and a higher building setback than under the current zoning. Furthermore, that district will prohibit any outdoor manufacturing, processing, and assembly. Staff is recommending approval of this request to rezone this site to the EC district as it is consistent with the adopted land use plan. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this application at their February public hearing and recommended approval by a vote of 7-0. The commission stated that the request is consistent with adopted policy guidance because the requested EC district is supported by the restricted industrial land use map classification of this area, and it represents an orderly growth pattern for this portion of the city. Furthermore, the commission stated that the request is reasonable because the proposed EC district is similar to adjacent zoning on properties east of the site. That is a brief summary of this request. Are there any questions of staff at this time? Thank you.
Thank, oh,
May I say something?
sure.
I do want to say something. I know that Mark's here. I called Mark today, and I don't know if that's at his son, but, okay. So I had the pleasure to meet with Eddie Green and Mark and Tom Terrell and some of the residents on Model Farm Road, and I just hate that I didn't get to know your dad better. He seemed like a wonderful, wonderful man. He immediately gave all the residents a sense of, honesty, and he wanted to help, make it what they wanted. And he just seemed so kind and caring, and I'm very, very sorry for your loss. And, maybe at some point we can do some kind of memorial there on the land, but thank you for being here, and thank you for being here, Mark, and I'm really sorry for your loss.
Okay, the public hearing on this item is open. Is there anyone here who is, wants to speak for or against, or would the applicant like to come forward and say anything?
Good evening. My name is Mark Lindsay with Lindsay Commercial Properties, address 1912 East Chester Drive, Suite 200 in High Point, North Carolina. I'm just here to answer any questions for you. Just echoing Monica's comments that he was a client and a friend of mine for the past 10, 12 years, and like I said, his children are here, and this is what he wanted.
Anyone have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item?
Tom Terrell, 529 West Parkway. I was the one who asked at the January Planning and Zoning Commission that this matter be continued because there wasn't outreach to the neighbors. Mr. Lindsay and Mr. Green could not have been more responsive. Monica, you were there. We hosted the meeting at our church. He was kind, he was direct, he was gracious. And as you will testify, of the dozen or so people who came, all were nodding their heads, and there was strong consensus that this was a project that should be approved. So on behalf of that community, it is my honor to stand here and say we support this rezoning.
Anyone else like to speak on this item? Mayor, I can't let it go by without taking a personal privilege, and Eddie was a friend of mine. Jonathan and David, your dad was not only a friend but a mentor, and he's going to be missed. But I got to hear you both speak yesterday, and what a legacy he's left behind, and your mama couldn't be any sweeter. So I look forward to supporting this item. Okay, I'll close the public hearing then, and I will make a motion to approve this item, which is zoning map amendment 21-37. And I will state that I will adopt the consistency and reasonableness statement as stated in the staff report. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for approval of this item. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Next item is zoning map amendment 21-38. This is item 2022-134 on the agenda. And I will turn the meeting over to our staff member.
Yes, once again, Herb Shannon, Senior Planner with the Planning and Development Department. And our next application, case 21-38, is a request in the downtown area. The applicant is requesting rezoning of a 1.7 acre tract of land at the southwest corner of South Elm Street and West Russell Avenue. They're requesting rezoning from the heavy industrial district to the central business district. This application is being made to support development of this site for a market showroom facility. The current HI zoning is a holdover for when this entire block was an industrial area at the southwestern edge of the downtown area. Since the 1990s, there have been multiple rezonings to the central business district, and you now have a situation where this site is completely surrounded by the CB district. The requested CB district is consistent with the land use plan and is supported by the core city plan, which has this area part of the showroom district. Thus, staff is recommending approval of the request to rezone this site to a central business district zoning designation. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this request at their February public hearing. The commission recommended approval by a vote of 7-0 and stated that the request is consistent with adopted policy guidance because the requested CB district is supported by the goals and objectives of the land use plan, and the showroom district designation applies to this area of the core city plan. The commission also stated the request is reasonable as the requested CB district is similar to previous zoning approvals granted in this area. Are there any questions of staff regarding this application?
Any questions for staff? Thank you, Ms. Shannon. Public hearing is open. Is the applicant here? Would the applicant like to speak?
My name is Wendy Fusco with Price Commercial Properties, Congdon Yards, and I'm representing the seller. I don't really have anything other than what Herb said, than to say we've got it under contract, and once the rezoning's approved, we can close.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Is there anyone else here who would like to speak either in favor or against this item? Hearing none, I will make a motion for approval of this item, and I will adopt the consistency and reasonableness statement as stated in the staff report and by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve this item. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? And that motion passes unanimously. Next item is Annexation Case 22-01. This is item 2022-135 on the agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this item and the following agenda item, zoning map amendment 21-39 are related. So staff will provide a combined presentation. However, you will be required to vote on them separately. Annexation Case 2201 and zoning case 2139 pertain to lands at the southeast corner of West Wendover Avenue and Penny Road. In December of 2021, City Council approved an annexation and rezoning of approximately 34.7 acres at the southeast corner of Wendover Avenue and Penny Road. This proposal is expansion of that prior approval. In regards to the annexation proposal, that area highlighted at site, highlighted at site is a triangular sliver of land, approximately 0.3 acres, that's proposed to be annexed into the city of High Point. As you can see, this site is, for the most part, just surrounded by the city limits, and the inclusion of this property into the city would be a logical progression of the city's annexation policy and not negatively affect the city's ability to provide services. As far as the rezoning proposal, that area you see in that light yellow color, that's the land area that in December, City Council annexed and granted a conditional zoning RC district designation. This 0.3 acre parcel is proposed to be added to that zoning proposal. All the previous conditions from that December approval are being carried over. The only change would just be updating the legal description to include additional land area and that tax parcel number. Everything else remains the same. Staff considers this a minor expansion of less than 1% of the land area. That conditional zoning ordinance, it includes standards for higher landscaping and conditions to protect the residents along the south side of Samet. And this area would most likely be incorporated into the land area that's going to be part of the Samet Drive extension or landscaping area. Thus, staff is recommending approval to rezone this area to an updated conditional zoning RC district to include this sliver of land. The Planning and Zoning Commission at their February meeting recommended approval, and the commission stated that the request is consistent with adopted policy guidance, as the proposed expansion of the CZRC district is supported by adopted policy guidance documents, including the land use plan, and as conditioned, the requested expansion of the CZRC district will be similar and compatible with previous zoning conditions and zoning approvals in this area. That is a brief summary of both the annexation and rezoning of this area. Are there any questions of staff at this time?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shannon. Public hearing is open. Is the applicant here? Would the applicant like to speak, or applicant's representative?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. I'm Tom Terrell, 529 West Parkway, Fox Rothschild. I am honored to be here with Dennis Bunker and Jim Gurditch. Yet another time, this matter has been heard on a variety of matters on many occasions. This is a very, very small addition, and I like this one sentence that Herb just read. Staff believes this is a minor expansion of less than 1% of the land area, and I believe that that captures it perfectly. We ask you for your support.
Anyone else here who would like to speak in favor or opposition to this item? Okay, with that being said, I'll make a motion for approval of annexation case 22-01. Is there a second?
Second. Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on the annexation? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, the annexation case passes unanimously. I'll also make a motion for approval of zoning map amendment 21-39 and state that I will adopt the consistency and reasonableness statement as stated in the staff report and by the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the zoning map amendment 21-39, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. All right, next is item 2022-137, City of High Point zoning map amendment 22-01. Mr. Shannon.
Yes, this is a continuation of the city's comprehensive zoning map amendment project. We have been focusing on lands within the core city area. Excuse me. As we've previously noted in other requests, the comprehensive zoning map amendment project is intended to review and evaluate zoning throughout the city, identify areas where zoning is inconsistent or out of sync with the existing land use policy, and to propose new zonings for that area. This evening, we're looking at an area that's lying south of Green Drive and west of University Parkway, approximately 100 acres. That area currently has a zoning designation of residential multifamily 16. Staff is recommending rezoning to the R7 district. Based upon review of aerial photos dating back to the 1950s, this area was platted and developed as a single-family neighborhood. With all of the previous requests in this area, staff has done a street-by-street survey, and we did that in 2020. And this area is overwhelmingly developed with single-family dwellings, and the land use plan classifies this area as low-density residential, which is intended for single-family development. However, the current RM16 district will permit residential development up to 16 units per acre. Our concern is someone shoehorning in an apartment complex in the middle of an established neighborhood. We're not opposed to multifamily development in this area, but it should be maybe on the outer edges and have enough land area to ensure appropriate parking and buffering. Staff is recommending rezoning to the R7 district as it more accurately reflects the manner in which this area has developed, and staff is recommending approval to rezone this area to the R7 district. The Planning and Zoning Commission reviewed this request at their February meeting. Excuse me. The Commission recommended approval by a vote of 7-0 and stated that the request is consistent with adopted policy guidance, that the zoning map amendment for this residential neighborhood is supported by Goal 1 of the Land Use Plan, which encourages enhancement and preservation of established neighborhoods, and that request is reasonable because the amendments are needed to better match the way the neighborhood has developed. I would note that staff sent out over 500 notices last fall to gauge community support and answer any questions. We had another 50 phone calls between January and today, and once the issues or concerns were explained, there were no objections from any of the property owners or surrounding neighbors. Are there any questions of staff at this time?
Any questions? Thank you, Ms. Shannon. City is the applicant, so we've heard from the applicant. Is there anyone here to speak in favor or against this item? Okay, hearing none, I'll make a motion for approval of zoning map amendment 22-01, and I'll adopt the consistency and reasonableness statement as stated in the staff report. Is there a second? Second. Okay, there is a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of zoning map amendment 2022-01, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? That motion passes. We still do have one pending public hearing item. This is the zoning map amendment 21-31. My understanding, Herb, do you want to speak on this, or?
I don't know if there's a representative here this evening. She can certainly provide any additional update. The last information I've heard from the applicant was late Friday afternoon, where they requested additional time. They did not provide any specific date. I don't know if you have any additional information, but that's the last information staff has received regarding this request, that the parties are still in discussion.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Shannon. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion then. The public hearing is still open. I'm making a motion to leave the public hearing open until our meeting on April 18th, 2022. Is there a second? Second. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. All right. We do have a couple of general business items on the agenda. The first one is a resolution for condemnation. It is item 2022-138 on the agenda. Is our attorney speaking on this one?
I think I am.
Okay.
This is a request for council to consider adopting a resolution authorizing my office to begin the action of eminent domain for the properties located at 208 North Lindsay Street and 508 West English Road in connection with the stadium parking lot project. Representatives of the city have been unable to negotiate a sale price that's agreeable between the parties at this point in time. There has been an appraisal done on the property, and therefore the city has estimated the amount of $985,000 to be just compensation for the property.
Anyone have any questions for the attorney? Okay. I will make a motion then for approval of this resolution, item 2022-138. Is there a second? Second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Next one is the appointment of Royland Rod Smith to the Human Relations Commission. I don't know
Mine.
That's yours,
Yeah,
okay. Then I'll recognize Mayor Pro Tem Monica Peters.
Okay. Yes, I would like to appoint Rod Smith to the Human Relations. It's funny, Rod lives in my ward, and I was reading your bio. I can't wait to come and start doing some neighborhood association meetings with you. I see that you're, I think, the vice president. But anyway, so he called, and there were some issues, and then we had such a great conversation, and you know, we probably spoke, 15 minutes, and so I was like, you'd be perfect for our Human Relations Commission. And so thank you so much for accepting that, and I look forward to working with you. I think you're going to do a really great job. Thank you so much, Rod.
Okay. Would you like to make the motion?
I make a motion to appoint Rod Smith to the Human Relations Commission. As my appointee.
Okay, there's a motion and a second for this appointment. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. We have some minutes to be approved. Anyone have any discussion or changes to the proposed minutes?
Motion to approve. Second.
And there's a motion and a second to approve the list of minutes. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Before we adjourn, I just want to announce to everybody, we are going to be going back into our closed session that started at 3:30. So even though we're adjourning this meeting, we're going back into that meeting. So we will be staying here for a little bit longer. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this regular meeting.
Is this Mark McDonald's last meeting? This is his last city council meeting. And I would personally like to thank you, and on behalf of the council, thank you for the work that you've done for the city for so many years. You're an asset.
Thank you, Mark. We're going to drag you back here, though, at some point, I'm sure. Yeah. We'll, if a police officer shows up in your parking lot, or in your driveway, you'll know maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Seriously, thank you. Appreciate it.
So I think we do we have a motion and second to adjourn? You threw me off there.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Mayor.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, this meeting is now adjourned. for anyone listening out in cyberspace, this is High Point Mayor Jay Wagner. We have adjourned our closed session for our special meeting that started at 3:30. We are back in open session, and we are going to take some actions based on our personnel reviews of our 3 employees, the city manager, the city attorney, and the city clerk. First, I would like to make a motion regarding the compensation of our clerk, Lisa Veerling. We will be, as of July 1, 2021, so backdating, we will be increasing her pay 2% from her then current pay of $103,900.16 to $105,978.16. That pay raise will also be reflected in the 2.5% cost of living increase that she received on February 13th of 2022. That will take her now current pay to $108,627.62. And then I'm proposing the city council making a motion to increase her pay on July 1 of 2022 by 3% to $111,886.45 and add a $55 per month phone allowance, cell phone allowance. So that is in the form of a motion. Is there a second?
Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. All in favor, any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Whoop, go ahead.
If you excuse me, Mayor, this is Councilman Moore. I just think maybe for the record and also the way we're doing the meetings now, that people need to know why we're putting this all together. We're going back. COVID obviously made things unusual for everybody in the world, but some of this is catching up some things that we didn't get done in a normal stream of years like we normally do on an annual basis. So that's why you're hearing more numbers than you're used to hearing.
Our plan has been to do our evaluations in March for the upcoming fiscal year, but during the pandemic and for various other reasons, we did not meet last March, so we're playing catch-up.
Yeah. And the increases should be noted, obviously, are consistent with merit increases, I'd say, for the incredible work that's been done by Madam Clerk. So.
Yep. Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. In regard to our city attorney, Joanne Carlisle, I'm making a motion to, as of July 1, 2021, a 2% pay raise from her then salary of $187,430.88 to $191,179.50. And then that will be taken into account at the time of the February 18th, 2022 cost of living increase that all employees received, which would then put her current salary at $195,958.99. And then we are proposing a 2% increase to take effect July 1, 2022, which will take her salary to $199,878.16. And I so move. Is there a second?
Second. Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Again, and publicly, I will say thank you for all that you do for the city, for your expertise as a lawyer and as a counselor to our city council. Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes. In regard to our city manager, we have nothing but compliments for her time period here since she began last July. I think the last period since July has proven to us that we made the right choice. And we are proposing that, I'm proposing in the form of a motion on the behalf of the council, a pay raise of 2%, which is based on her current salary, which includes the cost of living increase on February 13th, 2022. Her current salary is $217,759.36. We're proposing a 2% increase, merit increase which will take her to $222,114.55. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Is there anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. That's all I have. Is there, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting. Any discussion before we adjourn? Okay, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, that motion passes.